everyone, my name is Jeff Rolka. Thank you for checking out my video. This is questions from comments. I find something really juicy in the old comments section, and I feel like it's better to address it in video format. And so here we are. We have a question about the secondo passaggio, the so-called break, and let's just go ahead and tackle it. Let me read the question while we're getting started here. Hi, Jeff. Wondered this for a while. I'm going to stop for a second. Don't wait to ask questions, at least on this channel. In the future, just get going in the comments section. I'm here to help. So yeah, thank you for waiting, thank you for watching, but ask, get the comments out there. Ask your questions. When going over and below the secondo passaggio, there's a bit of a spelling thing happening here. Just for future reference, I'll put that on screen now. Is it sort of like going from full voice to falsetto? Because doing your warm-ups all the time, there's a definite click that my voice now does naturally. But I'm still singing those higher notes in a falsetto. I just cannot hit any of those higher notes in the last few exercises. All the best, 7 gigs this month, woohoo! Well, first of all, great work getting 7 gigs this month, or this past month. This was left, I think, a week or two ago. So that's awesome. May it continue and increase to your heart's desire. I think that's really, really cool. I certainly miss, what I really miss is doing backing vocalist gigs. I really, really love doing harmony parts. But at any rate, so first of all, there's good news and there's bad news. Let's go for the good news first. This is totally normal. It happens to many, many vocalists, and it is something that you can absolutely work through and learn to do differently. You will always be able to use this method of phonation if you should choose to do so for artistic purposes, but there is another way to do it. That click that you're feeling is also quite normal. That, however, is perhaps indicative of a greater disparity between the muscles that are in play between going from one register of your voice to another. Now, let's deal with some of the not awesome news. Falsetto. Falsetto gets used to mean a variety of different things depending on what vocal instructor or coach to whom you're speaking with. Some people use the word falsetto and head voice interchangeably. I do not. I think that is unfortunately, at best, just a desire to simplify a process, which is a little bit complex, but once you get your head around it, makes singing higher notes and singing into the upper register more effective as you understand the muscle groups and how they function. The way that I use falsetto is in 2 different ways. One, if I'm saying falsetto, then I am speaking of a male vocal range. For most male vocalists, it will begin around B flat 4, B4, or C5. Tenors and baritones are all right in this area where they're crossing out of their cricothyroid dominant singing voice or head voice into their falsetto range. Now, if you've made a good transition into your head voice or cricothyroid dominant singing voice, then the changes in phonation, the way that you sound, won't be as dramatic. What you are describing, I would call falsetto tone production, and this is very, very common in particularly male vocalists that are still working out the technique around the secondo passaggio. So let's take another look at the keyboard again. And I'll say hello up here in the corner. So just for future reference, this little light here, that's marking middle C. So this is middle C or C4. This area right in here, between this E and F, this F sharp, right in here is where baritones and tenors will be transitioning out of their upper chest voices through the zona di passaggio and then into their head voice or cricothyroid dominant singing voice. And that click is the changeover. So for example, if you've got a vocalist who's still working on their technique here, very frequently they'll skate off into falsetto. And sometimes they'll be able to reestablish the full sound or adduction of their voice as they descend, and sometimes they won't. What we can learn to do, however, is retain the adduction, or in some parlances of our times, the closure of the vocal fold. Adduction is the word that means moving towards the center mass of the body. So we have bilateral symmetry, and when we adduct, we are moving towards the center line of the body. When we abduct, we are moving away from the center line of our bodies. And if we want to continue having consistent tone quality over the secondo passaggio, we have to learn to keep the vocal folds adducted. And when we do that, it sounds more like this. The transition's still there. I'm still going from my chest voice to my head voice, and then back from my head voice down to my chest voice. But I've learned to keep the vocal folds adducted. So how can you learn to do that? Especially if habitually you're using a falsetto tone production here. Well, my recommendation to you is to start from the top down. And this is also where sirens can come into play too. If you're familiar with that kind of a sound that we sometimes make, what that helps you learn to do is just to kind of move through pitch and keep the vocal folds adducted as you move up over the secondo passaggio into the head voice and then back down. And then we ask ourselves to be a little bit more specific. For most male vocalists, or vocalists identifying as male, testosterone influenced, we might say, if you start in the key of G, you'll almost certainly avoid the secondo passaggio. Again, it's somewhere in here. And we want to do that to start because we don't want to deal with that level of precision just initially. We want to skip over it and just get into the habit of going you, where it's clearly in the head voice, but it is adducted. If it were not adducted, you, it would be more whispery. You, adducted, you, abducted, separated, falsetto tone production. We want to start there, and then for the D, be in our upper chest voice. You, 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 you. And that is how we begin. Now, I did a 3-part series on this, and quite frankly, the videos could use an update, but the thing is that what's in the video is just as relevant today as the day that I made it. And I'll put a link in the cards and in the description so that if you wish, you can go and have a look at those videos. Like I said, they could use an update, but the content, what I am talking about and the process that I go through in those videos is just as relevant today as it was the day I cut it. So I hope this answers your question. Awesome question. I think that covers what was being asked, but if not, that's what the comments are for. Let me know and I will happily elaborate or do another video or just answer your question in the comments, whatever works best for the question. So thank you so much for a great question. Thank you for watching. Thank you if you've chosen to subscribe, and if you haven't yet, I hope you'll do so now. And there are lots of ways you can support the channel, and those are all in the description. My name's Jeff. Thank you again. Take really good care of your voices. Enjoy singing, and hopefully we'll see you again. Bye.